We're ready to have you get out whenever you're ready. Okay.
Hello everybody, happy 2015. I wish this is the best year for you so far. Not the best year ever, because we all know the best is yet to come. Hope you had a great holiday as well. We did here at the Volvo Rescue. Lots of food, lots of friends, family, fun. It's gonna be a crazy couple of weeks here because today is January 12th, the very first day of school for me. So the spring semester is gonna take about 2 weeks to go into full mode craziness. So until then, I'm gonna be very productive with our time on Shelby. Some of the things that I'm gonna get done in the next 2 weeks is to remove everything from the engine bay, everything from the undercarriage, all of the glass, the doors, the insides of the doors, the windshield, etc. So I've got the engine already out. It's right here behind me. The engine for Shelby 1.0 is over there. They're full of parts, so if you guys need anything, we're gonna start selling things from them, so just let us know as soon as possible. Go ahead and comment on this video. Hey, subscribe while you're at it, why don't you? Since we're gonna be going with the turbo diesel, I don't need anything from these, so if you guys need a short block, long block, carburetor, exhaust manifold, fuel pump, valve cover, anything, just let me know. Also, we're parting out Shelby 1.0 as a whole. If you guys need anything from the entire roof, chopped off at the pillars, just to a simple thing like one glass, door, window, something, let me know, because we're parting that car out as well. Since the wagons are becoming very hard to find, we want to get everything out of it that we can so that we're not sending anything to the crusher that doesn't need to be crushed. Pulling the car apart, didn't record everything, but you know, things like taking out the engine, disassembling the suspension is covered in the Arthur videos. So if you want to see all that, there is the that video series. If you guys have any questions, anything you want to see in the future updates, anything I can help you with your restorations or anything in general, don't hesitate to ask. I love helping people. Soren loves helping people. We'll be there at your disposal. So if you have requests for video or just need advice or where to find parts, you guys have helped me probably more than I could ever repay, but I'm willing to do my part. Also, we're going to be doing a lot of tutorials in the next coming months as we get all of our IPD parts in. I'm going to do a lot of how-tos on installing everything from the bushings to interior parts. I'm gonna make a lot of videos. You may have noticed already I've made several videos over the break for just whatever's come my way, and I've had a lot of fun with it. So guys, check them out if you haven't already. In the meantime, go back and watch something while you're waiting for a next update, which should come at the end of the month. Oh, multicolored seat.
Good job, man.
That's great. Look, it's got a headrest. That's even greater. How's it look under there? Wow. That's in pretty good shape. What do we got in here? Lots of different kinds of old beer.
I think someone had a drinking and driving problem.
Well, at least they didn't wreck the car while doing it.
No joke. All right. Find a newspaper from underneath the seat here. That's a killer deal right there. 1988 Dodge Dakota pickup for $169 a month. Well, Dave, we always express to people when we do buy their cars is that we take all your personal items out of your cars, because you never know. Going through these cars, you come across someone's checkbook. This is one for what? That's there's a decimal there, Dave. That's $2,095. Now, we're very reputable people, and we're just gonna do the good thing and destroy these checks, even though there's probably like $3,000 worth of checks right there.
I like learning something new about these cars every time. This is kind of a cool little feature. The vents in the back of the seat here, these are used for getting the air out of the seat. Why Volvo does this? Is it some sort of comfort feature where you don't want to feel like you're sinking slowly, or maybe busting out one of the seams by having someone flop down on the seat? Who knows? But it's kind of cool. Anyways, besides that, the rest of the car under here looks really great. One of the problems I'm having with this door is the same problem I had with Arthur's back doors, is the screws. Now, you need a really big Phillips head screwdriver to get those, or they're gonna strip. We've got a medium size, and we've gotten 2 out of 3 of the screws out. The third one's starting to strip. We were hammering it a lot, it wasn't really coming out. So when you remove the 2 there, it allows the door to open ever so slightly more, like that. And that gives you a little bit more access to get a screwdriver back in here. What I did is I took out the bottom screws and after everything was oiled, so we have 5 out of 6 out of here, and the one that's stripped out, that top one, now I can just pivot the door on it and it'll break that rust free. And I should be able to go in there with a screwdriver and get that out no problem now. Well guys, I wish I could say it was a perfect world scenario. The door didn't want to come out after all that, so I just drove the dang thing out. You guys might be thinking, why an old Volvo station wagon? Well, to that all I have to say is, heater's gonna heat. Wow! I can hardly believe my eyes. There is a floor under here. A bit of a problem area will be right there. So as soon as we pull up all this sound deadening, we're going to find out exactly how bad this is.
You cut right along here, and then right along here, basically where they glue the originals in. And this piece is original because it doesn't rot out. And then cut it along here, and around here, and then just whoop.
Concerning removing the hatch, the easiest way to do it is to undo the 2 nuts that are holding it behind the headliner. I wasn't so sure about what this screw attaches to, because it's still, I removed it and there's a little plate, a threaded plate on the other side that drops out, but it's still in here. Maybe it slides in a certain way and it's just kind of stuck, but those screws weren't a problem. That was good. There are these 2 springs. There's the spring, it kind of just fits in like that, and this little arm wraps around this piece here, keeps tension on it. The lights that are attached to the hatch, they were kind of tricky. What I really didn't like about them, here's the terminal, and there's the hole for the wire, but you got to fit this thing through it. And well, as you see, it just won't fit through there. So I basically had to rip that off of the wire. It's the 2 small yellow wires. Here are the screws that I was telling you about for the top of the hatch. And here's some clips for the tailgate. The nuts that adjust the top part. We'll just put all these in a bag together and label it hatch. Gee, this looks familiar. So as we're looking at the bottom inside of the fender, looking up, we can see very common areas of rust. A big one right there in the corner. It's before the time of plastic fender liners. Everything was just painted really thick, as you can see here. And it doesn't last forever, and it certainly doesn't protect it as well as a plastic liner could. But they still, everything is going to rust eventually. So that's a really common issue there. I actually got very lucky with Arthur that he didn't have that. What happens is when the tire's spinning and it gets water and mud and everything else up in there, and it just becomes a really fine spot for it to rust out. In the daylight we can see a little bit more of what's going on here with the rust. It's not so bad, and luckily nothing's really damaged here beyond repair. With our last car, Shelby 1.0, this whole piece was rusted down here, and we cut out this section to actually replace from that junkyard 122. So thankfully we don't have to go that route. That's just a lot more time and money that we don't need to spend. We learned our lesson last time and we just got a $20 puller, and this is going to be cake. It saves us so much trouble and we don't have to be as crafty.
Right tool for the job, Dave.
Because now we have the right tool. We finally wised up, you know what I'm saying? No key, no problem. Alright, here's something that I gotta try to remember. Here's the steering shaft. That snap ring was tough. Okay, so this piece goes into the shaft with the flare facing that way. This sits on top of it. And then there's a washer. And then the steering wheel. Following the steering wheel is the nut. There comes a moment in every man's life when he has to decide if the windshield is worth kicking out. or taken out the right way. 2 out of 3 times it would have worked. This is not one of those times. I'm just kind of working this out around here. Being very careful not to be rough with it because it's already cracked in so many places. Not sure how the cracks got there. Alright. You just had to punch it at the very end.
Yep.
Right when we were safe.
Yep.
Okay. So while I got the windshield out, I'm gonna take out the 2 bolts that are holding in the gauge cluster here on the back. It's a little easier now that the dashboard is slightly out of the way, not entirely.
Slightly.
You guys are gonna find it very necessary, especially if you're doing this with the dashboard, underneath the dashboard with it all attached and the windshield in place, to move this bracket out of the way, which is holding these 2 wires, wire looms. That's really gonna make it a lot easier for you. That's what we'll do.
But make a mental note, you have to kick out the windshield in order to get to those bolts.
Don't show your wife, she's gonna be mad. Hi honey, I fixed the car, but we can only drive it slowly.
Better get your goggles.
Get your goggles. While I'm here, I want to show you guys the speedometer cable attaches right there. So if you need to replace your speedometer cable for any reason, follow it up to there and it should just twist off. It's not very tight. There's a nylon washer or some sort of rubber outer piece that it's hard to say exactly what it is because it all falls apart when I pull it. But there you go, that's your speedometer, and there we have the ratchet on the other nut for the gauge cluster. So we're gonna remove that. I have it propped up over there. Everything's so much more convenient with the windshield out. I love it. All right, here's the ignition cylinder attached to that shielded cable over there. We are gonna poke that little thing. Actually, I already did. So we poke that little thing, and out comes this guy. Whoop. Great, so much easier with the windshield out. Really, everything's easier with the windshield out. But if you don't have that luxury, you know, this video and my previous dashboard removal video should give you a little bit of an idea. I think, yeah, the key has to be on. That's why we drilled it out. And frankly, it's ugly.
Or you just need to have a key.
Yeah, a key is great. Don't try to drill in too far. You don't want to come out the backside and then damage the ignition if you're reusing it, which in our case we are. Okay folks, there you have it. Our dashboard is removed. If you're removing that chrome trim piece, which ours needs to be removed, it's actually a nice shape though, which is lucky for us. On the backside, towards the passenger, you're going to see 1 clip, 2 clips, 3 clips, 4 clips, 1 bolt there, and the other bolt, little nut, right over there. I'm going to lubricate those so they don't strip and break, but pretty much they all slide up and down. So there's going to be a little bit of adjustment necessary in those when you put it back in. So, not too bad, and the dashboard's in good shape, doesn't have a lot of rust. Actually, a lot of the rubber's in good shape in this car. Arthur was a little bit more south New Mexico, where it's drier. This is a northern New Mexico car. A little more moist, and kept everything a little more preserved for us, but it did cause a little bit of rust problems. Check this out. That's a lovely hole right there, right on that seam where all the water gets through, especially up here in the corner where the mud accumulates, so that's kind of a big spot there. We're going to be sure to clean that up. But we don't have any of that cracking inside of the fender wells like we did with Shelby 1.0 and some of the other cars. Most of the Amazons actually that we picked up, including Arthur, had the cracks along the inside of the frame by the fender where they meet. So we've got our lights in the back and all the wiring. I'm going to just quickly document where everything goes because I'm going to get confused and you guys hopefully won't have to get confused. So over here we've got a lot of junctions for power cables. Light there is the oil pressure light. So it's in series with that little guy over there, that little nut, or junctions with a couple of other red cables, including the one from the main harness, and another one that goes to the fan switch. Okay, so the red from the fan switch all goes to that junction. The junction next to it has a black, it's got a little rubber cap on it, that's great. So the black wire goes back into this main harness. It's a very small gauge wire. Okay, so following the series, okay, oil light goes to this light. That light right there is our amp light, amperage. Great. So they'll give you a signal when your generator or alternator is not providing you with a charge. If you have a generator and it still works, I'm actually quite impressed. Here we've got a green wire with a blue wire. That is for the turn signals. Great. The two bottom lights go into this harness piece here, which has 1, 2, 3 red wires coming out of it. The third red wire goes to... Aha! It's taped off. Okay. Anyways, so those two bottom lights there are just backlights for the entire illumination. Cool. By the way, we're not using any of this anymore, so this is just for you guys, because I love you. Okay, over here we've got a thick shielded wire. That's the analog wire for the coolant sensor. That one's a braided cable, steel, and right there is where it connects to the coolant sensor, but it's broken off. This wire over here, it's thick and it's solidly attached. That's the trip reset. You need to undo the little nut on the bottom over there so you can get that out, otherwise you're going to break it. So the ignition switch has, what, 4 positions? First position has the black wires attached to it with a big fat red one. The second position has a fat green wire attached to it. Third position has a...
Say fat, Dave, it's sensitive.
Sensitive. Large gauge brown, no, large gauge black, a brown, looks like the other black was attached there because that one's loose. And that looks to be, another one, a big black wire on the last position. That's probably the starter signal. So we're gonna get the painless wiring kit for this car. We're gonna rewire all of this. We're not gonna worry about this, but the harness is in great shape. I don't see any breaks in the wires. Unlike an Arthur, it's a little bit more aged. So this is great, it's really promising. This is our wipers. Now the wipers have several wires attached to them, and it's great because they're all the same spade terminal. So you're gonna get really mixed up here. Alright, so looking at this side that has the two, I'll call them horizontal, they have red on the right, black on the left. Facing it, looks like kind of dirty, but looks like another black. Okay, and then on the other side, where they're more vertical, those two, you have the double reds, triple reds, what, quadruple? Maybe just triple. On the right side, and then a green one on the left. The light switch is also kind of a busy one here. It's shaped, it's got a flat top there, which is convenient for guessing where your wires go. Starting from the top, going counterclockwise. This one's red. That one's a big white one. There's a yellow one here, directly under it, going counterclockwise. 2 or 3 white ones. 2 or 3 white ones there. And then that one's 2 black ones, the last one. I'm going to leave all of these wires connected because I want to be able to trace them all out without doing any guessing when the time comes to do the rewiring on the car. That's going to be a lot of fun, as I've never done one of those painless kits, but as far as I understand, they're painless. So if you guys have reviews on that, I know a couple Amazon owners have done it on various websites and blogs. I'd really like to get some information as to what worked well for you and what didn't. Alright, as of today, the 13th of January, we've got the dashboard out. We have all the wires visually labeled. But like I said, we're just going to rewire all that, so that's not a problem. Got the interior out, all the doors are off. I need to pull out all the guts on the doors and separate that. We have several boxes of parts because we like to keep everything arranged neatly. I learned my lesson with Arthur that you want to have everything labeled before, so that when you're putting it back together or when you're buying new hardware, you have the right bolts for the right places. It saves you hours of time guessing.
You're not frantically assembling Arthur on D-Day when you have to read the coordinates.
Never again, Soren.
Thank you, Dave.
That was a really tough week, but it was fun. I just wouldn't want to do it again. If you guys have any questions about wiring, further questions, I'm also going to be buying a wiring schematic. They have them on eBay. I think it's like 15 bucks, and it's laminated 11 by 14, something like that. Really convenient and useful to have. I'm going to be doing that when the time comes to rewire the car. As always, thank you for watching. I have a great time making these videos for you, and I hope you have a great time watching. Please do stay in touch with us with our many avenues of social media. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Lots of great videos that I have stored up for you guys. I'm working on so many things this year. I'm really excited. 2015 is going to be huge. Huge. Big. Take care. Keep motoring. I should probably come up with a better slogan than that, but you get the point.